We are with a woman who needs no introduction, but I will go ahead and do a little bit of justice by introducing Miss Denyvetta Davis. She is the president of the JFK Neighborhood Association, one of the original historic Black neighborhoods in Northeast OKC. And she's also president of the Northeast OKC Neighborhood Coalition, which is a collective of Northeast neighborhoods working together every day to support their communities. So thank you for joining and for having a conversation about South of 8th. You are the president of the JFK Neighborhood Association and the Northeast OKC Neighborhood Coalition, and I know that that comes with a lot of work and responsibility, which you do so beautifully. But can you describe what you do in those roles and what that means for the Eastside community?
So with JFK, I do whatever is needed, whatever is necessary. That means, facilitating meetings. We meet once a month, second Saturday of each month. And so that means facilitating those meetings, making sure that the neighbors are informed. I'm an information person.
Yes.
I love information, but it's no good unless it's shared.
Yeah.
And so I believe in
100%.
sharing it. And I hear my neighbors say they're probably the most well-informed neighborhood city. But yeah, that's what I do, and making sure if there are issues that we try to address them. If there are neighbors that have issues or need something, we try to support them in that. Just being a good neighbor.
Good neighbor.
And what all that entails. I grew up in Muskogee, and so I grew up in a village. So neighborhood and being kind and being a good neighbor, looking out for one another is what I know.
Yeah.
That's all that I know.
Mhm.
And so this is just kind of fits into how I grew up. And
Beautiful.
so just being there and supportive and informing my neighbors and watching out for them, looking out for them. So yeah,
Yes.
that's what I do.
I
with
wish
JFK.
every neighborhood had a Miss Denyvetta Davis. We'd all be better if we did.
With the coalition, like I said, I convened 3 other neighborhood presidents, and we co-founded the coalition. And so we're starting our 6th year next
Congratulations.
in January. So yes, and
We gotta do like a block party. Maybe not in January, it's still cold, but later in the summer. That's amazing, 6 years. And can you speak a little bit to how that got started and why?
Yeah, so like I said, we were seeing dirt being turned, overturned in neighborhoods, and things being built, sometimes in various stages, sometimes almost done, sometimes starting, and we didn't have any idea.
No one had come and said anything, gave any notices, shared
Just
information.
seeing more and more of that. So I said, okay, what's going on? And so we convened and we talked about, okay, what can we do? And so we just formed a coalition and started inviting other neighborhood presidents to join us. And so we have 18 neighborhoods that are active with the coalition. And so we meet once a month.
It's been some time, and there's been a lot of things happening specifically in JFK. So I'm excited to have a discussion with you about what we did and what we can take forward into the future.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure.
Thank you. I feel like we haven't probably gotten an ounce of sleep since then, but so much has been happening in the neighborhood pre-South of 8th, during South of 8th, and certainly now after. And as you think about that project, and you were so involved, you were on the tactical committee, you were such an important voice and a source of expertise for what we need to be thinking about as far as resident lived experiences and people who are living in that area every day. When you think back on the past 2 years and that project as a whole, what is something that impacted you the most about that experience?
So for me, it was community engagement. I'd not seen it at that level before. There's different levels of community engagement, but I'd not seen that large number of people involved, engaged, just willing to share stories, information, willing to connect with each other, willing to share photographs, identify individuals within those photographs. So that was an important piece for me. I mean, we did the work, but the engagement of the community, the number of people that were engaged, the length of time that we were engaged, it wasn't just a couple of weeks. So that was really a highlight for me, because collaboration, engagement has not always been a thing in Northeast Oklahoma City. Certainly, there are organizations and individuals that do that, but not on a large scale. So I think you set the tone for what's to come and what community engagement really looks like.
I really feel like the way we were able to do that together with the South of 8th project sets a model for what can be done, and it's not a hindrance to production, but it can actually be very much integrated into the work in itself. We engaged and collaborated and co-worked on that project throughout the entire 2-year period. And so I agree with you that it set a standard for how we can really think about engagement as part of the work and not a box to check or something just to do, just to get it over with. All the contributions that were set forth in South of Eighth are so powerful because we were able to work alongside you and your neighbors and so many other residents in the area throughout the entire life of the project.
Yeah, because you don't always think about, oh, I'm really excited about going to a community engagement event.
Right?
Always something new, something different, a different conversation, a different opportunity to share a story. I mean, people were just going down memory lane.
Yeah.
And it was just fascinating to hear it and be a part of.
Yes. I remember the first broad engagement session that we did after the height of the pandemic. So it was still kind of, a little scary, a little nerve wracking to get together in person, but it was actually safe to do so. And that first turnout, I think we had over 200 people who came together. And there were some people who hadn't not only seen each other since the stay-at-home orders of the pandemic, but even years prior to that. Like I remember walking around the room and seeing people hug that hadn't seen each other since their college days or their high school days, or people that thought that their friend had moved away but is still in the community. It felt like a family reunion, that first engagement session. And I do think it was a good idea, and how we worked along with you all to inform what strategies are going to actually reach people and meet them where they're at, so it doesn't feel like just a town hall or what are we doing here, but was joyful, engaging. It was rooted in relationship building, reconnecting to the history, the challenging parts, the beautiful parts, and making sure it was all about community and not just about us getting data and then running on to the next phase of the project.
Yeah, because sometimes they're just listening sessions. You're not really engaged. We were listening and talking.
Yes, we did a lot of talking. Yes. You do so much engagement, leading projects. I mean, your role is more than a full-time job, and there's just so many aspects that go into working in a community, living in a community that's going through so much transformation. And so I know you see day to day the challenges, the opportunities, and I'm just curious, what is a challenge or opportunity that you feel like South of Eighth revealed to us, and maybe what we need to continue to work on as we move forward in our efforts to revitalize the neighborhood as a whole?
Well, I think that's part of kind of the next step from community engagement is action. Okay, so what's the next step? Okay, we've had all these conversations, we've heard these real good stories, and so what's next? Challenges are just making sure that people stay engaged, people stay informed, people, because people get discouraged. Okay, so I think that's an important piece. What's the next step? And when do we see it? Because, we're like people from Missouri. We like to say it's not just, about talking. And so we want to make sure that people are still engaged in some way. And maybe this is a way for doing our conversation today and those conversations that you're having with others. So, people will know, okay, it's still alive, it's still well.
Yes, things are still happening. We didn't do all that work for nothing. Right. And I know there is so much fatigue around feeling like, okay, we're talking about all these things, we're reliving hurtful aspects of the history, we're giving all of these contributions and all these ideas, and we don't always see that reflected in the outcome. Sometimes we don't even see an outcome at all. And so I'm really excited that just in a 2-year period, we're seeing now some tangible outcomes with what South of Eighth has been able to advance forward in our city. And then we've been able to collaborate and secure some significant funding. Unfortunately, with the current administration, some of that has been terminated, but it doesn't take away that we're doing collectively is so important. We've been able to win some very significant grants to help implement priorities that were articulated through the South of Eighth work. And that's what excites me so much about that collective community work, is that all of those ideas are helping us mobilize to get the resources to make them happen in ways that before people were talking and organizing and doing this work years ahead of South of Eighth, but now we have a document that we can show funders and resource folks and be like, hey, there's a whole vision for this area that hundreds of people contributed to. These are one of the things that we want to see happen. Can you put some funding behind it so we can make it a possibility?
Yes, and that we continue to have a voice in what's in the developers, working with the developers. I think that's an important thing because for so long we've just been kind of overlooked, and they can just build whatever they want. So now there's a guide in which they can use, say, okay, mixed use in this particular area or single family housing in this particular area. So it's mixed use and so a variety. And so I think that's one of the challenges too, is making sure that we stay in contact and have a relationship with the developers,
Yes.
so that they are following the guidelines that we work so hard to create.
Yes. With that, do you have any fears about what you feel like is coming? Again, so much happening in the South of 8th area. There's multiple maps for projects. There's development that's coming on board. There's going to be soon a release of property from the Urban Renewal Authority for RFP. There's just a lot happening, and what could potentially be great opportunity but could present some vulnerabilities if we're not talking and coordinated and engaged and sharing information and holding people accountable. So when you think about the potential challenges or fears, what sticks out to you the most? What are you most concerned about for the South of 8th area?
Well, I don't have any fears personally, because I know that it's going to all work out. It may take a while, but I know that it's going to happen.
Yes.
But I think some neighbors may have some fears and reservations, you know. But progress is coming. I mean, for so long we haven't had anything happening in Northeast Oklahoma City, specifically south of 8th.
Yeah.
I mean, we know what it used to be, and our community was just destroyed. And so it didn't happen overnight.
Right.
It didn't happen overnight to rebuild it. So it's going to kind of one step at a time. But we have a blueprint. And so now that we didn't have before. So do I have fear? No. But I need to help neighbors who might have, and communicate with them and keep them informed and help them understand that this is progress. And it may not look like it used to look, and it may not look like you expect it to look. But we've got so many great things happening in this area, not in Northeast Oklahoma City in general. Talk with us. Nobody did ask us. Nobody asked for our input. And so, I convened 3 other neighborhood presidents together, and we said, okay, what can we do? And that's how the coalition was formed. So it's just a matter of making sure people are informed, because people are not informed, they make up things.
Right. Fear can stem
Yeah.
from not
Yeah.
having the full scope of information or the full story. And so I totally get that. And something that I'm always trying to balance is, how do we be real about some of the challenges and the fears that people have, but balancing that with optimism. And not that we want to have toxic positivity and act like those negative things don't exist or couldn't happen, but keeping people encouraged, aligned, committed to a bigger vision, and knowing that that's going to take some time for us to fully see manifested. Like you said, the community wasn't destroyed overnight. It's not going to be rebuilt overnight. And it's unfair, because people deserve quality places today. People deserve resources and beautiful, thriving neighborhoods today. But it's going to take us some time to get there. And the more that we're at the table, the more we're talking, the more we're collaborating, the more of the work that you all are doing as the Northeast OKC Neighborhood Coalition, it's going to be possible. We're going to see this in our lifetime, and it's already happening in real time.
Sometimes there's dirt being moved from one place to the other. Sometimes parking is an issue. Sometimes all kinds of things are kind of disruptive. Yes. But progress is not perfect. Right. It comes with challenges. And so, we just have to deal with people and let them know that these are opportunities. And it may not look like you expect it to look like, but we're looking at the future. And what is the future going to look like?
Absolutely.
And so another thing, too, that my concern is, with the work that I do and why I work so hard, is because I'm looking at the next generation.
Right.
So that they're not having to deal with the problems that we're dealing with. It's just not fair to put that off on them. So that's one of the reasons that I work as hard as I do, because I want to make sure that they can move back to an area and stay.
Right.
I don't know that they would have the same drive. We want people to come, and we want people to stay.
Yeah, and enjoy themselves.
Absolutely.
Not stay and be in a struggle, or stay and be in a deficit, but stay and thrive, reach their full potential, so they don't have to leave.
I love JFK Neighborhood. Yes. I love it, and wouldn't want to live anywhere else. Even with all the challenges that we have, there's just no place like JFK.
Yes.
We are a neighborhood in the true sense of the word. We care about each other. We support each other. We look out after each other. And so, I just don't know that I could find that anywhere else.
Yeah. I'm glad that we're able to work together. Thank you. We're not tired. We're going to keep going.